Spotlight is proudly sponsored by HEC Media, St. Louis's home for arts, education, and culture.
This is a school where kids come and they don't want to leave.
Participated in practically every Mars mission that was successful.
We will give them the best life for the rest of the life they have.
Today on Spotlight, a WashU professor has been part of nearly 24 missions to Mars, what he's learned in 50 years. Plus, an artist that mixes sculptures with quilts. Another wants you to remove your shoes to enjoy his work. And then living history specialists show you what life was like during the French colonial days. But first, a school where kids go and don't want to leave because they teach beyond the basics. It's Sunday and you're watching the multiple Emmy Award-winning Spotlight.
The story is in the names. It's in the flags. It's in the faces.
There's so many people represented. It really is a very happy place because everybody is equally welcome here. And I think that's really a gift that we offer those families.
By design and by destiny, St. Francis Cabrini Academy in South St. Louis has become the place where hundreds of children from dozens of cultures gather to learn and be loved in a faith-based community that feels like a family.
Yes. There's so much depth to those words. Those are not just hashtags or slogans, because that's what happens for the child.
I feel like they want us here and they care about my kid.
It's amazing because I get to see the different perspectives of people and how they see the world.
We talk about our Catholic identity as a school. Kindness, forbearance, cooperation. Every faith teaches these things. That's in everything we do.
If I do one thing, I want to instill the love of learning in my students. This is a school where kids come and they don't want to leave.
Our call was, how do we respond to the needs of the people who are right here around the corner?
That corner was the intersection of Oregon Avenue and Arsenal Street, the site of a Catholic school called Notre Dame Elementary. But in the early 2000s, the neighborhood around it and the parishes near it were looking for ways to respond to a growing population of immigrants and refugees. People with often limited means, but big dreams, especially for their children. So in 2003, the St. Louis Archdiocese transformed Notre Dame Elementary into St. Francis Cabrini Academy, named for the patron saint of immigrants and designed to meet their particular educational needs.
I was told on the first day of school that half of the kindergarten children didn't speak English. By the time those students get to 8th grade, they'll be proficient. They'll go to any high school of their choice in St. Louis.
Beyond teaching the basics, what sets St. Francis Cabrini Academy apart are the lessons students absorb simply by being immersed in a diverse collection of cultures.
When you're learning at a young age that there are different people that do things differently and that look very different, it's not threatening. You know, you're meeting on equal ground in the classroom.
So it just makes everybody feel welcome.
A big part of making Cabrini welcoming to all is making it affordable to all. The cost of educating a student at Cabrini is approximately $10,000 a year, but no family pays more than the base tuition of about $4,700 a year per student, with many paying far less.
Our greatest need is typically tuition assistance because we want our students to stay here. We don't want them to come for a few years and then say, okay, you know what, I can't afford this. So that's really important to us.
With supplemental funding from the Archdiocese, and the generosity of individual donors, 95% of Cabrini students are able to receive some tuition assistance.
In the spirit of Mother Cabrini, we're very much about the holistic care, so that we're doing more than the education.
Cabrini Academy has become a vital community hub, providing assistance to its families with the basics of everyday life, including housing and health care, translators and tutors, and food. Some Cabrini students eat 3 meals a day here, with a menu as diverse as the students themselves.
Orange chicken, chicken fajitas, hot dogs, and nachos.
In partnership with its supporting pastors and parishes, St. Francis Cabrini Academy also nourishes the soul.
The best thing is that when you start from when they are small, bring them up in a Christian way is a very nice thing. And that's why I like this school.
I like learning about my religion. It helps me dig deeper down into, me as a person.
These are the moments. Every day is something new.
There's no denying that today's children are being born into a difficult world during trying times. But truly understanding that world will empower them to change it.
We seek God's blessing always.
And it all begins by providing these young people with an education that is world class.
I think a big part of education is more than just what you learn in a book. It's also how you learn how to be with each other.
I think Cabrini is a place that helps develop community across those lines, but also helps students to develop a sense of what empathy looks like.
When you celebrate diversity, when you make it a positive thing, people want to be a part of it.
We're all from different cultures. We're all unique. We're all beautiful. We're all God's children. And we're all smart.
If you'd like to help St. Francis Cabrini Academy provide tuition assistance for students in need, the school is hosting a fundraising dinner and auction next Saturday night, October 22nd. For more information or to purchase a ticket in advance, just scan the QR code at the bottom of your screen or go to cabrini.givesmart.com.
It's the podcast for parents, teachers, and anyone interested in the education system. Classroom Matters. Hosted by Educate.Today's Christy Houle. Find Classroom Matters on Educate.Today or wherever you get your podcasts.
I went to graduate school at Brown University in Rhode Island, and my thesis advisor was involved in what's called the Viking mission. In Viking, the U.S. put 2 landers on the surface of Mars in 1976, so I was fortunate enough to participate in that. And that was really groundbreaking. And then my interest in Mars and Venus and the Earth is just carried on to Washington University when I came in 1974.
This was the beginning of Mars exploration for Raymond Arvidsson, a career spanning 50 years.
Participated in practically every Mars mission that was successful, all the way through the 2 big rovers on the surface, Perseverance and Curiosity.
He's been part of many exciting discoveries about the red planet through orbiting missions and robotic missions on the Martian surface, thrilling from the moment of landing.
And a sigh of relief when the first signal comes back saying, hey, I'm the rover or I'm the lander and I landed successfully, let's get on with business.
During those 50 years, Arvidsson has been a NASA science team member, deputy principal investigator for Mars exploration rovers, and an explorer.
Totally exciting. You come in a day after a drive and you're seeing, for Curiosity, a brand new terrain with exciting possibilities.
For the last 48 years, Arvidsson's work in the Department of Earth and Planetary Sciences helped light the path for generations of Washington University students.
Mojave River at its best is mainly running underground, but are all these little streamlets. It's called anastomosing.
And he made a real difference for the future of Mars exploration.
Mars has given up a lot of secrets. It still has a lot, but clearly, long ago, billions of years ago, this planet was warm and wet and Earth-like. So what we're after is whether or not it was habitable and whether or not the life started there. And everything's looking good, but we don't know about the life thing yet. It's possible that if there were microbes on Mars, meteorites from Mars may have come back here billions of years ago. We could have some Martian heritage, who knows? So there's a lot to learn.
The world's fascination with Mars has put his work in the spotlight. Mars is so often represented in pop culture, which is something Arvidsson appreciates.
We've all read the book. We've seen the movie like 10 times.
So, without further ado,
this will come as quite a shock to my crewmates and to NASA.
I retired at the end of June.
Surprise.
My title now that I retired, James S. McDonald Distinguished University Emeritus. Emeritus just means that you're retired, which is a sand deposit.
So he's still at Washington University, and his work on Mars is not over.
I still provide some strategic advice to NASA and to Perseverance and to the Curiosity managers. So it's just a lot of fun.
Having so much to offer, past, present, and future, Arvidsson steps into the spotlight for a career celebration. WashU celebrates Arvidsson's 50 years of Mars exploration by hosting a public lecture presented by Arvidsson called My 50 Years Exploring Mars from the Viking Landers to the Perseverance rover.
It's important to me because it's really a capstone to my career. Talk about why we're doing the exploration, how it's done, and some of the funny stories.
That can only be told by Arvidsson. As technology advanced, NASA provided Arvidsson with virtual boots on the ground alongside the Mars Curiosity rover. This is used for path planning.
And I'm looking up at Mount Sharp and then back at the rover. And we want to avoid the sharp rocks.
He still has a role with the Curiosity team.
Now I'm a backseat driver. The driver doesn't really like that advice all the time, but you're still going to give it.
Arvidsson once had long missions that involved adjusting his clock to a Mars day, which is 39 minutes longer than a day on Earth.
I think I'm the human being with the most time living on Mars time in the whole world.
Woo! In your face, Neil Armstrong.
And speaking of The Martian, one of many fun stories over the 50 years is about that time when
we were trying to find a landing site for Perseverance. And my presentation about Jezero was right after lunch. So I went with my friends to a deli in Glendale, California. Freaking Matt Damon walks by.
So let's do the math.
And I thought to myself, Ray, what if I asked him to come with me for the 1 o'clock presentation? And he gets on the stage, and we're all nerds, like 300 nerds in the audience. And I chickened out.
Maybe one day, because there seems to be endless possibilities.
Humans on Mars is maybe 20 to 30 years from now. It's a place that you can get to, and it has scientific bonanzas yet to be discovered.
HEC Media, supporting and promoting the arts. Check out our features and shows on theater, dance, music, the visual arts, and more. Find this and all our award-winning content at hecmedia.org.
We are having our Fall-Winter 2022 season of exhibitions opening here at the Contemporary Art Museum St. Louis. This season features a number of different exhibitions. We have the 10th edition of the Great Rivers Biennial with artists Yashin Kuo, Yvonne Osei, and John Young. So the Great Rivers Biennial actually happens at CAM every other year. We have been doing this project for 20 years. The way that it works is that we select 3 curators, artists from across the country that serve as jurors, and the jurors select the 3 winners. The 3 artists are each very different artists, actually. John works in this really interesting technique that is both sculptural but also quilt style, and he's really interested in thinking about the ideas around the American West and the stereotypes around the American West. The work brings together a series of symbols and images. In the central gallery, we have the work of Yashin Kuo. Yashin is a painter, but for this exhibition, he has created an immersive installation. There is a carpet in the gallery, so you remove your shoes and you kind of enter into this space that has light and sound and these just large, beautiful paintings. And lastly, Yvonne Osei is an artist who is mostly working in video and photography. So her exhibition is a circular 6-channel video piece. So viewers are able to walk around this large circle of videos. And the work is very situated in her personal experience as an artist who received the award just a week after learning that she's pregnant. It is an exhibition that looks at really important sites in the United States around racial atrocity, but she does it in a way that is hopeful and looking towards the future as a new mother. We also have the exhibition, we didn't ask permission, we just did it.
We wanted to make an exhibition that also throw some light over the history of contemporary art in Puerto Rico. On your way into the museum, the first piece that you're gonna encounter is a mat made with cattail by Jorge Gonzalez Santos. These carpets, they become a space to share ideas, but also to read the books that we are providing. After that, you're gonna see in the ceiling some works, and they're like these parachutes that were made by Jorge Rivera, that is another Puerto Rican artist. And then when you turn right, you're gonna see some cases with ephemera works. And once you go inside the room, you're gonna see a selection of different works that took place in different exhibitions through the years.
This exhibition is called Mona Chalabi Squeeze. Mona's practice is really rooted in data and statistics that she gathers on really big global topics like politics and human rights and climate change. So for CAM's project wall, she focused on endangered species of plants and animals. So she focused on 6 species and made illustrations that reflect the remaining population of each species. I would hope that people would see the work and think a little bit about their own lifestyle decisions and the way that those decisions affect the people around them and the environment and the species that live within it.
Sukanyamani's exhibit is titled Weight of Shadows, and it consists of multiple paper cut pieces that a lot of it has to do with her work and her empathizing with the domestic abuse survivor community. The exhibit for the LEAP and New Art in the Neighborhood is called New Perspectives. It all consists of student work that they created throughout the LEAP and NAM programs. A lot of these projects were guided by the resident teaching artist during that time. And this one consists of some more traditional charcoal work, and then all the way down to different, more involved collage and collaborative paintings. There's also at the very end, there's a large sort of collaborative painting that consists of different skulls and things that they all kind of like made together.
All of these exhibits are on display through February 12th, 2023. Visit kmstl.org for more info. Scan the QR code on your screen to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram.
Nestled by the Mississippi River is Ste Genevieve. Founded in 1735, it is the oldest permanent European settlement in the state of Missouri. Based at the Center for French Colonial Life Museum campus, the town's rich legacy comes alive through living history specialists. Jeff Giorano.
Bonjour. My name is Geoffroy Boyer.
Gary Scheel.
I am Jean-Baptiste Maurice de Chatillon.
And Mark Diamond.
Good morning. How you doing today? I'm Samuel the Englishman.
With precision, they skillfully demonstrate their specific trade and transport us into the French colonial way of life.
Anyone can make moccasins. You know what you do? Let me show you. You take a piece of hide and you cut it out. And then you fold it together. You do like I'm doing right here. You sew around the toe and you sew it up the back. And then, after you have sewn it, you turn it inside out, and voila, you have a shoe, a moccasin. Very simple.
Right now I am working on a net for a lady to go out into the garden and gather up like tomatoes, the small squash, or go out to the orchard to gather apples. And it takes a little bit of time sometimes to get started, but once you get started, it moves along pretty good. Sometimes you get into a nice little rhythm going and you really don't realize you're doing it.
I'm a master carpenter, and I go around towns, and if you look on top of the old buildings, or the buildings here in town, you'll see these wooden shingles, or we call them shakes. The shakes that are on top of the roofs are made out of cedar. Well, you know, if you look at the shakes on top of the roof, there are just thousands of them. I mean, it depends on the house. Whenever you do that, then there's usually a community project. But Mom here today, making spokes for a wheel. And this is called a cheval dressage, which means shaving horse in English. And how it operates is, this basically acts as a vise. And I would take like one of these spokes that I'm working on and stick it in there, take the feet, put it in there like that, and then that allows me to use my tools. One of the tools that I use is called a plan ordinaire, or we call it a draw knife, and it operates basically like this. You just take it, and that's what this is for. The shaving horse or the cheval, the dressage holds it in place as I trim it down.
For more information about the Center for French Colonial Life Museum campus, and to watch the entire Living History online videos, visit FrenchColonialLife.org. And for more information about Ste Genevieve and their upcoming events, visit stgenevievejourdefete.com.
View the full Living History videos at educate.today. Use the keyword French Colonial History.
HEC Media, bringing you culture and community. Find all of HEC's positive programming and award-winning content at hecmedia.org.
So new at Craft Alliance is our new printmaking and paper art studio that was supported and funded by the Wingate Foundation. And the studio brings printmaking, book arts, and paper making to Craft Alliance's other craft courses. The studio offers classes in screen printing, relief printing, intaglio, book arts, and paper making. So the studio offers the ability for us to teach courses using a lot of new equipment that we were able to acquire through the studio expansion. We have 3 medium-sized printing presses that allow students to print larger scale projects either in relief or intaglio. We also offer screen printing equipment, so we've got a small exposure unit and a washout booth. So a lot of opportunities for community members to come to Craft Alliance to learn and expand their print practice.
So this new printmaking studio is beneficial to us in the community simply because a lot of printmaking happens in institutions, like within schools, and oftentimes you need to be a student or you need to have quite a bit of money to get a press in your own studio. But this studio space here allows it to be a lot more affordable, a lot more accessible, which means that we can get people in that are just slightly interested, as well as people who've been doing it for years. You don't have to take it as a student trying to get an MFA or BFA. You can take it as a person who's just really interested in learning a little bit more. The class structures are really, really easy to understand once a week, so it's also not taking a lot out of your schedule, easy to fit into time-wise, and also gives you a ton of time to access the studio outside lab hours to get stuff done, which again is a little bit different than when you're in school going for a degree. Here you have everything and you have a lot of access to that thing.
Craft Alliance's mission is to inspire and educate people through contemporary craft. And so how we do that is offering classes for adults, youth, teen. The printmaking and paper art studio fits into this greater plan of educating the community through contemporary craft. It brings the equipment, it brings the instructors, it brings all of those materials and assets and makes it accessible for the larger community. If you're interested in learning more about education at Craft Alliance, especially classes in the printmaking paper arts studio, go to www.craftalliance.org to learn more about upcoming classes.
You can find the stories featured in today's show along with past episodes and more at hecmedia.org/spotlight. Across the street from a horse ranch in St. Louis County sits a new type of ranch offering a smaller animal a second chance.
Hello, Leonard.
The guests in this farm home certainly do their share of horsing around.
We are at the Second Chance Ranch, which is at Valley Mount Ranch in Valley Park, Missouri. And we are a senior home for senior dogs, and there's not anything around here like this. Founder, co-founder, executive director. volunteer poop picker-upper.
Tracy Rumpf and her group, the Wet Nose Project, turned this old house into an old dog home and sanctuary.
Many of them lost their families, lost their owners, and the families just didn't have room for them, and we're going to, put them down. Several of them came from county animal control. A lot of people surrender their older dogs to make room for the Christmas puppy. And that breaks my heart. Like, I can't imagine my own personal dogs, doing that when they get older. That's when they need us the most.
Some of the residents are very opinionated. But the staff here are happy to help.
We cater to them. All volunteer driven. No one is working here.
This place is run thanks to donations.
Between the vetting for senior animals, monthly food, utilities, running the home. Every dime that is donated goes strictly to the animals. If we can get 1,000 people donating $10 a month or 500 people donating $10 a month, then we know what we have coming in every month. And so we know if we can take another dog maybe.
The big dogs live on the main level, and the smaller guests reside in the penthouse, each of them with a unique story.
So Frosty and Snowy are brothers whose owners passed away, both of them within 3 months of COVID last year. So Sadie is blind and deaf, and her owner died, and she has a bad leg. General and Sarge are father and son. They were dumped in St. Francis Park. I think they were very neglected. Just because a dog is a rescue, it doesn't mean that they're broken. It just means that a human let them down. And our goal is to make up for that.
It's a second chance that comes with a lot of perks.
Gosh, we're giving him a great life, and I think we're extending his life. He's getting great food. He's getting, his meds on time. He's on meds. Things like that if he were out still, in St. Francis Park roaming around, he probably wouldn't be alive now.
Some of their dogs are up for adoption, and some will be forever residents. Soon, across the street, they plan to convert this place to house old cats.
We already are talking about putting a catio on the back so they have a little place to go outside and hang out.
This is the area's first old dog retirement home, a place where they celebrate every day.
Our mission is we will give them the best life for the rest of the life they have. If you ever have a sad day, just come here and these dogs will make you so happy and will just make your heart so happy.
Next week, the Holocaust Museum's grand opening. Plus, an exhibit explores architecture by letting you color on the walls. Thanks for watching Spotlight. Join us next Sunday at 9:30 a.m. on KPLR 11.